Good afternoon, Year 9 and 10. This is Mrs. Knight. I'm going to be talking you through today how to answer a Cambridge National Enterprise and Marketing examination paper. The one that I've selected for us to do today is the paper from January 2019. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be working through this together. So I'll be sending you through this video link and also the examination paper for you to work through. So you may choose to work through with the video as well and have both separately on two separate windows, or you may choose to listen to the video and then attempt the examination questions. So the directed time for this is 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is probably more than what a normal lesson would be within school, but it would definitely be within a double lesson. So I would expect you to get this completed, but you may find it will take 2 sessions to get this completed. Okay, so if we move down and we make a start, have a look at the first one. So the first part of the Cambridge National paper is multiple choice questions. And you have 16 of these to choose from. And usually there's a right answer and there's 3 distractors. You may find that some of the distractors are very, very similar to what you would think would be the right answer, and they are deliberately put in there as red herrings to try and confuse you. Okay, so let's make a start and have a look at the first one. It says, which one of the following is a stage of the product life cycle? So what you need to do here is think back, maybe even use your knowledge organisers and look back to what the different stages are of the product life cycle. Then decide which one of those, either advertising, competition, growth or recession, is a stage. Okay, so have a go answering that question. Then if we move down and have a look at question number 2, it says which functional area is responsible for identifying the needs and wants of customers? Now, functional areas is one that we've been working through just recently, and I've sent you through a video link and some practice questions on those. So have a think back out of those areas, which one is the one that is going to focus on customers? Okay. Next one, question number 3. Here we look at salaries. So what they are looking at is when we're looking at the finance section of business, what are salaries? So are salaries something that are paid out, or salaries something that is money coming into a business? What exactly are salaries and what is it classed as within a business? Okay, and I'll let you pick from those distractors there which salaries are for a business. So if you think of something like a school, and the school are paying out all the different teachers' salaries, is that money coming in? Is that money going out? And if it's money going out, what kind of expense is that? Okay. Question number 4. This says, which of the following needs to be submitted to Company House when setting up a private limited company? Okay, now this looks at some of the legal requirements. So these are legal paperwork, legal documents, and things that would need to, which will actually separate a business from its owners. So that's where the limited liability comes into it. So I'd like you to pick out of those which one you think is going to be the most legal document. Okay. So have a look down at them and think which one is going to be a legal document. Okay. Number 5, bit of an easier one for you here. It says, which of the following is part of a marketing mix? So think back to what the 4 Ps are for the marketing mix and decide which one out of that list is one of the Ps. Okay. Number 6, which of the following sources of capital usually includes business advice from an experienced entrepreneur? So sources of capital, in other words, sources of finance, where you as a business would get your money from. Which one of those would mean where you get your advice from? So are you going to get advice from a bank loan? Are you going to get advice from a business angel? Are you going to get advice from crowdfunding, or are you going to get advice from your own savings? So using your knowledge organizer or your school notes, have a look and think which one of those will give you advice as well. Number 7. Which functional area is responsible for quality control? Now, again, we've been looking at functional areas quite recently, so this one should be quite an easy one for you to do. So, or out of those functional areas there, which one is going to focus on looking at the quality of the products that a business produces? Okay. Number 8. Which of the following is a benefit of limited liability for the owners of a business? So think back to and remember what limited liability is. And if you can't remember, limited liability is where you would only lose how much you've invested in a business. So investors, so in this case, if you've got limited liability, investors are likely to be shareholders and they're only going to lose how much they've invested. So what would be a benefit of that? Okay, so have a look through some of the distractors that you've been given there and decide which one is the best option. Okay. Please feel free to pause this video at any time if you need a little bit of time to think in between me going through the responses. Question number 9 is one of the first questions that looks at finance. Okay, and so this one is quite a simple calculation. It's asking you to calculate profit. And if you remember what the formula for profit is, which is sales revenue, take away total costs, that will give you the answer. So the profit, sales revenue, take away total costs. And if you've got a sales revenue of 18,000 and you've got a total cost of 7,500, you are now to work out how much profit you have. And you've been given 4 different options there. Okay. Question 10. Maya is thinking of starting a business by buying a franchise of Perfection Pizza. Which of the following is an advantage of starting a business by buying a franchise? Okay, and you've given 4 different distractors there for you to choose from. Remember, a franchise is the right to trade under another business's name for a fee. So here, an entrepreneur would buy a franchise of Perfection Pizza and would pay a certain amount of money in order to be able to purchase that franchise. So you will now think, what is going to be a benefit for this person from buying into a name that has already been established, a name that is already out there and trading? Okay, so have a look through the different options and make your choice. Okay. Question number 11. Here it says a sole trader needs additional capital to help set up a new business. The sole trader does not wish to pay any interest or sign a formal contract. So think about the sources of finances that they should avoid. So if you are wanting to have some kind of financial agreement where it is really sort of quite informal and flexible, what one would they avoid? So think back and think of those, which are the ones that you would have to pay interest on, which ones would you have to sign a formal contract, and which of the following would they avoid? Okay, there is only one on there which is the right answer. Okay. Question number 12. Again, another finance question. Sarah runs a business selling flowers. Last week, she earned £13,050 sales revenue. If last week Sarah's average selling price was £15, how many bunches of flowers did she sell? So you've got the total sales revenue, you've got the actual price, but you just need to work out the amount that she sold. So if you think the formula for sales revenue is price times quantity, gives you sales revenue, here you just need to rearrange the formula. You're given the price, you're given the sales revenue, you just need to work out the quantity. So rearrange it and work out the answer. Okay, please feel free to pause the video at any time. Question number 13. Which of the following sales promotion techniques aims to reward and retain customers who have bought from the business for a long period of time? So remember, sales promotion, these are ones that try and attract customers and keep you interested in the business. But out of those, which ones are going to reward you? So think back to things like we've discussed in class, like your Tesco Club card, your Boots Advantage card, and I'm sure other shops like have got them. Off the top of my head, Sainsbury's have got one as well. So which one is going to reward customers who keep going and they get points, etc.? So I think I've given quite a lot away with that, the answer to that question. Question number 14. It says, which of the following tasks would not be carried out by the marketing function of a business? So again, another functional area question, again, looking at the different activities that are likely to be carried out, but which one is not going to be carried out by marketing? So if you remember, marketing is all about making customers aware of your products and services, promoting your brand, finding out what customers' wants and needs are. Have a look at those options and decide which ones you think would not be carried out by the marketing function. Okay. Question 15. Another finance one for you. And here we have got a break-even graph. So as you can see, you've got your lines, you've got your fixed cost line, you've got your total revenue line, which starts at the origin. Your fixed cost line is the line that is horizontal, as fixed costs do not change with output. And on top of your fixed cost line, you have another line, which is your total cost line. Okay, so it's asking you to show what is shown by the shaded area. So is it the break-even point? Is it your fixed costs? Is it loss or is it profit? So remember, the break-even point is where the two lines cross. Anything below the break-even point is a loss. Anything above the break-even point is where sales are greater than your costs. So have a go at working that one out. Okay, and finally, question 16, the last one of our multiple choice questions. So it says, which of the following does not affect the price set for a new service? So is it the availability of individuals to work for a business? Is it the cost to deliver the service? Is it the income levels of target customers or the price of competitor services? So which one is not going to affect your price? Okay. Have a think through and note down what you think is the right answer. Okay, well done for that. So that's probably one of the hardest bits out of the way. Most people think multiple choice questions are quite easy and straightforward, but sometimes they can be quite confusing and deliberately try and distract you. So let's move on to section B. This is the section where your responses are potentially could be just one-word answers, but you are likely to be writing a little bit more. So let's have a look at the first question. So you start off with the context. It says photography has always been one of your hobbies. You've recently used some money that you inherited to buy a new digital camera and to set up a photography services business. You've decided to specialise in wedding photography and have produced a website to promote your photography services. So for this one now, you need to identify 3 ways that customer needs may vary. So what would make customers different? What would make what would affect how people buy things? So think about going way back to when we first started, what affects customers? What is going to be different? So is it price? Are some people willing to pay more than others? Are some people willing to buy more than others? So quantity. Are some people willing to buy better quality things? So would someone prefer to buy a pair of Balenciaga trainers because they believe it's better quality and they're happy to pay £600 for some trainers? Or would somebody be prepared to pay maybe £100 for some trainers because that best meets their needs? So everybody's needs are different. So have a think about how customer needs may vary, and also think about the context, because the context here is photography, and it's looking at specifically at wedding photography. Okay. B, Identify and explain the most appropriate method for segmenting the market for your photography services. So this looks at market segmentation. And if you remember what the different segmentation methods are, you could segment a market on age, you could segment it on gender, occupation, income, lifestyle, etc. So what you could do here is pick a method. So you may want to do it on age, and then say why you have chosen age. So 1 point for the method, 1 point for the explanation. Okay. Question 18. It says you plan to differentiate your photography services. So differentiate means make your business different. How can you make it stand out? And you are to give 2 benefits of differentiating your services from competitors. So this is 6 marks. So the 6 marks will be split into 2. So you get 2 sets of 3 marks. So for benefit 1, you get 1 mark for actually saying what the benefit is, and then 1 point for explaining it and 1 point for analysing it. So if you remember the P paragraph, so point, explain, analyse, that will give you the benefit for benefit 1, and then you would repeat it for benefit 2. So if you make your business stand out, what is it going to do? So if you are, I'm just trying to think of an example that is not fashion related. What makes your business stand out from everybody else? So Apple, we'll use Apple as an example. So why do people pay more for an Apple iPhone than you would for a Huawei phone, for example? And I've got nothing against Huawei phones. I've got one at the moment because I smashed my Samsung phone. So why would people pay more for an Apple rather than Huawei? So that is a way of differentiating themselves. So it's the brand, it's the status, it's the image, it's got a unique selling point. It could have a better camera, it could have a better feature, etc. And most people, once a brand's been established, they will remain brand loyal. So if you bought an Apple phone, you will continue to purchase Apple products because you are buying into a lifestyle that you wish to lead, etc. So 2 benefits. So one could be people, you may believe it's better quality. So what point? Quality is the point. And then customers may recognise you to be a business that provides high quality products, and therefore in the future you're going to get customer loyalty. There are your 3 points: point, explanation, analysis. So pick 2 of those and then complete that question. Okay. Question 19. So a shorter question for you now. It says, reports in the media are suggesting that the economy is about to enter an economic boom. Explain a potential impact on your new photography services if the economy does enter an economic boom. So for this one, you would need to tell me what an economic boom is. So it's essentially when the economy is growing, people are going to be better off, there's more people in work, so people are spending more money and there's high demand for goods and services. So for your business, what's it going to mean? So economic boom means you're going to have more demand, you're going to have more customers, and you're likely to be busier. Again, 2-mark question, explain what an economic boom is and explain how it relates to your business. Okay, moving down onto B. Apart from boom, identify 2 other stages of the business cycle. Now here, it's sometimes customers, sometimes students get confused with business cycle and product life cycle. Product life cycle are the stages that a product goes through, so development, introduction, growth, maturity, saturation, decline, whereas the business cycle are the stages that the economy will go through during its useful life. So there are 4 different stages. Boom is one of them. So have a go thinking about the other stages. If you are unsure, have a look on your knowledge organizer and it will explain what the other ones are. Okay, moving down onto C. So here we are still looking at sort of the economic and legal impact. think about 2 legal issues which may affect your business. So again, short answer questions here. 1 mark for the issue, 1 mark for the explanation, and you have to do it 2 times. So 2 legal issues that you as a new business may have to comply with. So it could be anything such as, I'll just give you one. If you're taking photos, have you got permission to take photos? And you've got all the GDPR things as well. But that is just one aspect of the legal side. You've also got things such as health and safety, copyright, patents, product safety, etc. And if you've got permission to take photos, so if you're photographing someone's wedding at a beautiful private venue, do you have permission to take photos of that a particular historic house with a couple in front of it, etc. So that could be a reason. So in terms of answering the question, 1 mark for the issue, 1 mark for explanation. So if I give you an example here, copyright, so that could be 1 for an issue. And the explanation is you may need to pay a fee to use an image. So if you wish to use an image, you may have to pay a fee to use it. So it could be a particular logo or whatever that is used to support your business. You may have to pay to use it. Okay, and then think of another one as well. Question 20. So we're gradually getting through these. Another extended writing question. It says you decide to use secondary desk research to investigate trends in the wedding photography industry. Identify 1 secondary market research source which you could use and explain 1 benefit of using this method. So think about what secondary research is and think about what would be a benefit of it for you as a business. So remember, secondary market research is research that's already been carried out. And then think about how that may benefit your business. So you get 1 mark for the point, so the research source, and then you get the other 2 marks for explaining what the benefit is and how it is going to help your business. Okay. Next question then. Question 21. Even though you know that there are some potential disadvantages, you will start your business as a sole trader. Analyze 2 disadvantages of starting your business as a sole trader. Now, this question is a 6-mark question. Again, it's split up into two parts. So there'll be 3 marks for each of them. And as we've done before with some extended writing questions, 1 mark for the point, 1 mark for explanation, 1 mark for analysis. So the P paragraphs again. So you tell me the first disadvantage, you then explain why it's a disadvantage and why it's a problem, and then you'd analyse what the implications are likely to be for the business. And then you'd repeat it again. So if you remember, a sole trader is someone who's set up in business on their own. They are their own boss. They have complete control. They keep all the profits. But also think about what are the drawbacks of working on your own. And also, for an extra point, think about the type of liability that they have. Is the liability limited or is it unlimited? Because again, whatever you think that is, that could be a point that you could put down to explain. Okay. Next question. Question 22. So this one here is one of the financial questions, and as you can see, they've given you a big box to fill this out. A lot of students, when answering, tend to avoid finance questions. Basically, they see the numbers and think, no, I'm not answering it, I'm not answering it. The calculations are really, really straightforward, and numbers are nothing to be frightened of. In terms of calculations, the calculations are probably what you may have done in sort of year 4 or year 5. They are not difficult maths. Okay, so let's have a look at this then. So during a typical month, you forecast that you will photograph at 6 weddings. You have also forecast that your typical monthly costs will be fixed costs of £3,000 and total variable costs of £600. Calculate the total cost for a typical month. So what you need to do, first of all, is write down what the formula is for total costs. And just to remind you, total costs is fixed costs plus variable costs. Okay, so you'll get 1 mark for the formula, and then you get 1 mark for you working out. So if you write the formula down, put the numbers into the formula, and then calculate the correct answer. Okay. Next question. It says August is expected to be your busiest month, and you forecast that you will photograph at least 10 weddings during the month of August. Calculate your total cost for August. Okay, so how do we work out total costs? Again, we said it's fixed plus variable. So we've got our fixed costs of £3,000, and then we need to add in the variable costs. So the variable costs per wedding, we need to work out. So it says you've got, hold on, it says you've got 10 weddings during the month of August. Work out what the variable costs are per wedding, work it out for August, and then work out what your total costs are. Okay. C. It says identify 3 examples of variable costs that you will need to pay. So remember the difference between fixed costs and variable costs. Fixed costs do not change with output. Variable costs do change with output. So the more you produce, the greater your variable costs will be. So think about what are the likely variable costs for a wedding business. Okay, what are things that are going to change? The more weddings that you photograph, what costs are going to increase? Okay, so 1 mark per question, per response. Question 23. So this, it says you are keen to obtain feedback from your customers after each wedding. Explain 1 reason why obtaining customer feedback is important when running a new business. So why would you get customer feedback, and how is it going to help you? So if you got feedback, what is it going to do to support your business, and how can it help you improve? So again, 1 mark for the point, 1 mark for the explanation. Quite a straightforward question there. 23B. It says identify 3 customer feedback techniques that you could use. So what are the different methods that you as a business could use to get feedback? So think of the ways in which you could get customers to give you some feedback. So could it be electronic way? Could it be sort of a more traditional comment card way? Could it be verbal? Could it be written, etc.? There are quite a few different methods. Think of the ways which you can get customer feedback. TripAdvisor is always one that comes straight to mind. If you book a holiday, before you actually go and book it, you'll go on TripAdvisor and you'll look at the reviews to see what other people have thought about the hotel or the resort, etc. So that's an example of a customer feedback which could be beneficial in this area. Question 24. To pay for some advertising, you need to raise additional finance. You are aware of a small business grant available from your local council for young entrepreneurs. State and explain 1 advantage and 1 disadvantage of raising finance via a small business grant. Again, 4 mark question, but it's split up to make the response answering easier for you. 1 mark for an advantage, and then explaining it, 1 mark for a disadvantage and explaining it. So basically it's your point, explanation, the small paragraphs. So if you are having a grant, what is going to be good for that? Do you have to pay it back? Do you have to pay interest? Can anybody apply for a grant? Is it likely to have some kind of restrictions attached to it? You know, is there going to be a long application process, etc.? So have a think about some of those factors when you are answering that question. Okay, question 25. You are considering using psychological pricing. So 2-mark question, explain what is meant by the term psychological pricing. So think back to our pricing strategies, think back to what psychological pricing is, and then just explain explain what it is. You can give an example if that's going to help you support it. So 1 mark for a point, and even if you don't give an example, but you explain your point properly, you can still get the 2nd mark. Question 25B, identify 2 other pricing strategies which you could use. So think back to the ones that we've covered in class, and we've covered quite a few of them. Any 2 pricing strategies that we've covered, you can put down on there. Okay. Question 26. You decide to employ a HR specialist called Sadie for 1 day a week to help with the activities of that functional area. Identify 2 human resource activities which Sadie may help you with. So if you remember what the HR function is, it deals with people at work. Think about the activities that take place within human resources, and you just get 1 mark for each of your activities. You can't put, if you were to put something down like recruitment and selection, which I know a lot of people did in the last exercise that I gave you, you can't put recruitment on one and selection on another, because that will not qualify as 2 separate marks. If you put recruitment and selection, that would just give you the 1 mark. Okay. B, it says you plan to be responsible for the finance functional activities. State and explain 2 finance activities you may need to carry out. So think about what you do with finance, what roles come under finance. So it could be anything from costs to looking at cash flow. Explain the activity, tell me the activity, and then explain what goes off in that particular activity. So I'll just give you an example here. If you're looking at cash flow, so monitoring cash flow could be the activity, and the explanation, you would want to see how much money is going in and out of the business, so you've got more money coming in than you've got going out. Okay. Question 27. Now, for this question, I have already sent through a structure strip, and the structure strip is going to help you answer the question. So like I said last week, the 8-mark exam question, got the structure strip at the side. So let's have a look at the question. It says your market research suggests that the winter months are quietest for weddings in your area. To attract more customers during this quiet period, you plan to use a sales promotion technique. You are considering either a discount of 15% off your standard price, or a buy one get one free bog off for any photographs purchased in the winter months. Recommend which of these 2 sales promotion techniques should be used. Justify your answer. So again, what we'd be looking at here within the structure strip, you look at the context of the question, and you'd be looking obviously at these 2 different options, buy one get one free or a discount. Then you take each of those individually, explain what it is, look at the benefits and drawbacks, and look at the suitability. Then you'd look at the second one, benefits, drawbacks, suitability, and then the final conclusion would be which one of those would you recommend and why. So you could start this off with, I would recommend 15% discount because, and then you would just support it with a reason. One thing to remember here is that you must refer to the context, and this context here is photography and wedding photography. I've seen some brilliant answers come through from you guys over the last couple of weeks that you've not analysed in context, so you've lost a couple of marks, and it's been a real shame because the work has been of such a fantastic standard. I hope me talking you through this paper has helped, and I look forward to sort of getting your responses back in. Thank you very much.